Well, we're here again with Marriage Moments, and I'm always excited every month. You know what I'm thinking?
What's that?
It would be cool to start dropping episodes more than once a month. Talk to us and tell us if you'd like us to do that. Comment in the comment section, because I really want to know if people are like really engaging. You know, if this content is helping, go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
Rate, review, comment on this, and we are the Islands.
We are the Islands.
Yeah, that's our last name.
That's our last name.
Yeah. So
people always trip on that. You know, when I tell them my last name, they always say, like, could you spell that? And then when I spell it, oh, island, like island. I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll say no man's an island.
Yeah.
But actually, there is a man that's an island. Yeah. And then other times they say, you know, have you ever heard of the R&B singer Billy Ocean?
Oh, yeah.
Or they say Billy Idol.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, no, it's just Billy Island, you know.
Yeah, just Billy
But
Island.
we're here again, and we like to open up our lives for you all in our marriage in particular, to share our faults, our shortcomings, our success, you know, God's faithfulness in our marriage, and just go ahead and let it all out. So maybe these moments that we have can help add value to your marriage. So make sure we know if we're adding value to your marriage. Make sure you make a comment. You know, it means the world to us when you do stuff like that. So we're right at it right now. And when we're recording this, it's September 2024. So like people are getting ready to shift for the fall. Parents are preparing or have already prepared to get their kids in school. Some parents actually have just sent off their kiddos to college.
Oh my gosh, that's what we're not there, but my sisters both sent their kids off to college, and so we were part of that. And so it was,
well, she almost was there because she's like one of those aunties that she's really engaged and involved in. So she was pretty much there too, you know. So so okay, so we got a topic of shifting, transitions, and things like that, right?
Yeah. So like you said, it's fall, so summer's over, back to school, all of that. And last month we talked about divorce, and one of the reasons people stated for getting a divorce was that the logistics of the marriage, like they just could not get on the same page. And so I was thinking, well, with back to school and just kind of like summer fun is over, it's kind of back to the straight and narrow, so to speak. I was thinking about how important those logistical things in a marriage and in a family, even if you don't have kids, is super important, because I think it creates a necessary amount of margin and understanding in a marriage and in a family, so that everybody is on the same page, moving in the same direction. And in my opinion, it cuts down on a lot of irritability and arguing, even though, you know, that's going to happen. But I think a lot of it stems from the fact that we just don't live with a whole bunch of margin. Like everything is one moment to the next, or I didn't know you had practice, or whose responsibility is it anyway to do all of this stuff, you know? So I guess that leads me to the question: do you think what do you think about traditional roles in marriage?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll tackle that question. But when you say margin, just for clarity's sake, in marriage, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think margin can apply to a lot of areas of marriage. First of all, because you can have financial margin, meaning space.
Okay.
You know, think of it like your sheet of paper. You know, those sheets of paper that we used to write on in school, like the loose leaf sheet of paper. Okay, there's a part there's a red line on each side, and then there's lines in there, right? Well, outside of that red line is margin. That's space, right? Okay. And so I think that in a family, it's good to have space. You know, to have space where, okay, that we're dealing with a 30-minute time window. You know, let's say, okay, let me give myself 15 minutes of quiet time just for myself, get the kids up, get them ready, that kind of thing, as opposed to everybody jump up at the same time, everybody's trying to move at the same time,
Yeah,
and it just
yeah.
creates a lot of chaos. Even in a marriage, just it's you, me, and Charlie at our house.
Charlie's our
But
dog.
Charlie's our dog.
Yeah,
He's
little
our pug,
pug.
our 5-year-old pug.
Yeah.
Maybe we can insert a picture of him so everybody
Yeah,
can see him.
yeah.
But cutest baby pug ever. He's still a baby to me, even though he's 5. My sister is literally like, he's a grown man.
Yeah, he really
But
doesn't
to
need
me,
us
he's a
anymore
baby still.
at all. Yeah.
Anyway, we still need to plan. Like, you'll even tell me, okay, Helena, you usually give me 30 minutes. We got to leave in 30 minutes, knowing and that gives me 30 minutes. That's kind of how we function. But even more importantly than that, we have a calendar. And
Right.
we put things on a calendar.
Okay.
We know where we're going to be at tomorrow at 2 o'clock, that kind of thing.
Yeah, typically about 3 months, 6 months out, we already know like pretty much what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Or at least we have definitely like a
rough draft,
Yeah.
and so I think that has helped us in
Okay.
our marriage. It has helped us to keep down arguing, to keep down conflict of interest, in terms of, well, I have to be here. Well, I thought you were going to meet me over here, or I thought we were doing this,
Right.
So everybody's on the same page. And so I can only imagine that as you add more people to that equation, the more you're able to plan things out, just the better off things roll,
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by margin.
more room, more space, more time, less tension. Okay. And
In planning, in money, in time, just all of it. All of it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, now I'm sure that we have a lot of clarity in that area. You explained
Yeah.
that pretty well. And your question was, what are my thoughts about traditional roles?
Like, I guess what I mean by that is, like, whose responsibility is it to come up with this calendar? Because that's another thing added,
Yeah.
How do we get on the same page? What does that look like? Because sometimes people tend to think, well, if you got kids, like, who's with the kids the most, or whose responsibility is that
Yeah.
anyway? That kind of thing. That's why I asked that
Okay, that's
question.
so
What do you think?
good. That's so good asking about traditional roles in marriage. Well, for me, I think it depends the cadence and the rhythm of the marriage. I wouldn't put one marriage in a box because some husbands do certain things well and some wives do certain things well. And that's a good fit for that marriage.
Yeah.
And, ideally, if it could be collective, so everyone would be a part of every decision. I mean, it just everyone can take ownership. Everyone played a role. Everyone had an idea. But that's like somewhat in a perfect world. Some people just won't engage in certain things because that's just not their thing.
Yeah.
Maybe like, someone's not a financial person, maybe the husband does that, or maybe the wife does that. It depends who's good at it.
Yeah.
I've gotten into ruts, I don't know, about 10 years ago, just counseling men because, in our marriage, the dynamics of our marriage is I'm the money guy. Like I deal with the money. I kind of budget or I have an idea where it's going. And for some odd reason, because of immaturity, I would say, not some odd reason, because of immaturity on my part, I approached marriages when I counseled them, and I told the man, prematurely, that they were responsible for, you're the leader, and it was wrong. It was the wrong approach. I've had to go back and kind of like, untangle that, because that's just not necessarily everyone's setup.
Yeah.
Some wives may really, truly know how to deal with money very well.
Yeah.
And then they'll be just messing up the marriage if this man's just trying to egotistically just drive that area, and they won't have margin. They'll be stressed in that area because, he may not be able to budget as well. So I think that every marriage is different.
Yeah.
And if I said I believe in traditional, in some instances I do.
Yeah.
Like for me, I just really think in our marriage, I wouldn't ever want you to be worried about provisions.
Yeah.
And that's just a traditionalism in me.
Yeah.
That I don't want my wife to ever be worried about how things are going to be provided. But now I wouldn't press that onto another marriage because, you know, the wife may take it like, hey, you know, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
A woman doesn't know how to provide, you know, and I wouldn't ever want to push that on someone. So, yeah, for me, I don't necessarily know if traditionalism is a thing in this day and age that's truly being embraced. It may be some people that are doing that, but it's kind of like going out the window somewhat. But I'm sure there's some people holding on to some traditional ways, like me, in certain ways of being a provider. I truly believe that I should be a provider in my marriage.
I kind of think it's that combination of both. Okay, let me say this. It's almost as if let's look at the task and who's better at it.
Yeah.
Than saying, okay, because I'm a woman, I should ... And because you're a man, you should ... Now, there are some things that biblically, you know, Paul says, hey, a woman should take care of the house and that kind of thing, you know. So biblically, yeah, that's a thing, you know.
But it could be the extreme as well. Like, so say you're going through a long day, you've had a long day at work, and you know you've already expressed my feet hurt, and you sit down. What's wrong with me washing the dishes?
Well, that's what I was gonna say was, of course, that was in a society where women didn't work outside of the home.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's just a lot at play there, but I think that's how we kind of approach things, because in a sense, people might look at our marriage and say, oh, there's pretty much traditional roles, but there are a lot of roles that are not. We don't run them traditionally.
More
you know?
not than it's just you know, the reason why people get that is because of my demeanor and my makeup, because I'm very vocal.
Yeah.
But I mean, our marriage is like, I don't even know how to use the wording for it, but it's a marriage that we collectively come up with ideas. We make decisions as a team, and I wash dishes, and sometimes I mean, I don't like you to take out trash, but I know you probably have before, you know. But the reality is I mean, you know, we approach it as, hey, this is our job. Yeah, this is not your job.
We approach it by task.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like, okay, you got that, you know, so you get that. I got this. Okay, yeah, you get that. Like that kind of thing. It's not so much. But I think that whatever approach you take, a conversation needs to be had.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens is people assume. And when you assume, what happens is you put unexpressed expectation off onto your partner. Well, I just thought you would get the kids.
Yeah.
You know, or I just thought you would, you know, go grocery shopping. Or I thought you would take care of the bills. Or I thought you would wash the car, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, or you saw that in somebody else's marriage, and so you just adopted that as for yours without a fair conversation being had. Because I don't think having an expectation is wrong. I think not expressing that to your partner and giving them room to say, yeah, I'm with that, or nah, I ain't really feeling that.
I mean, the expectation ought to come exactly what you're saying. It should come from a conversation.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have expectations if we have not communicated that this is the standard. This is the role that I'm playing. This is what I'm called to do. Yeah, when you have this assumption that someone is going to do a particular thing and you never communicate it, you're going to be let down a lot, and then you'll probably be holding on to a lot of resentment, and you never even talked about it. You never discussed that, oh, wow, you wanted me to, and then like the other spouse is like, oh, you wanted me to do that? Yeah, you should have done that. Well, I didn't know. And then you have conversations like that, which often can bring healing, but hopefully it leads to conversations.
Absolutely, because like Miss Tiffany said years ago, clarity is kindness.
Yeah, Miss Tiffany is our pastor and overseer. You know, they pastor us. So Tiffany Cooper from People's Church in Oklahoma City. So she's communicated clarity is kindness. That's a beautiful statement.
It really is, and I you know, when she said that, of course it sounds so good, and I was like, man, that makes so much sense. But practicing that has been a whole different ball game, because you're just you, like for me, I've been guilty of just kind of expecting you to be able to read my mind, or you should know that, or, you know, meet me halfway when you don't even know what the halfway mark is.
Yeah.
And so there's just, that statement is even more true today than it was when I first heard it, because it truly, a person can't meet your need or expectation if you don't express it.
And
you know?
it's a lot of work being clear, because for some weird reason, when we're living a life that may be insulated, or you internalize a lot of things, sometimes, and this is going to sound weird, you think they know because for some weird reason you think they're in your mind. Like you think you said it, or something, you know, because you're just so consumed with self-talk and with you. And so when I'm like that, I'm thinking that you should know.
Yeah.
Like as if we've had a conversation, but that was a conversation with the 3-man board, me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with myself, and I could have swore you were there, you know, and now I'm expecting
you're
to know.
expecting your spouse to pick up on the body language because we've been together for so long. This always means that. When I tilt my head, you should know what that means. And it's like, who can know that all the time, every single time? Because sometimes it means one thing, and the other time it means another thing. So always communicate, because that is one of the main reasons why logistical problems in a marriage ends with a divorce.
Yeah, so one of the things I believe people should create margin for is for conversations.
For sure.
Yeah, because if you can have conversations about one another's expectations, then everyone's roles can be clear.
Yeah.
And sometimes roles bleed over. And, you know, okay, we're going to do this as a team, because one of the most dynamic things for me, and I don't know if you know this, is when I do stuff with you. Like, I mean, I'm going to tell you one thing we can't do together is cook, right?
Right.
We can't cook together. I don't know why, but we just don't do well. Like, because she hogs the kitchen. Or I do. Somebody do.
Well,
we haven't figured it out yet.
Okay, let me just be clear and put this out there.
Okay, come on.
For everybody to know.
All right.
Your boy is a freestyle king. So I'm trying to figure out, why would you put lemon pepper, you know, in a random dish? Lemon pepper doesn't go in that dish.
Okay, and now this is
I'm
my
trying
issue.
to figure out why would you just randomly get a spice? It's almost like he goes, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
No.
Let me get that spice. I'm like, why would you put that?
That's not how it works. Okay, every moment matters, right?
Okay.
So let's embrace this moment that you're very super traditional on every meal.
Let's do it.
Like, she is super traditional
What
on
does that
every
even
meal.
mean?
Pepper, no, salt, garlic, pepper, period.
Well,
I mean, you know,
I feel like those are a base. Those are a base to start with, and sometimes I'll layer from there. But I'm just, you know, I gotta have a starting point, and you just kind of free fall and see where we land.
But watch this.
Here's
I'm about to drop it on y'all right now. Then we're gonna transition. Do it be good.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the question I'm wondering, because you said it's very, you know, lack of better words, basic where I stay in.
Does
and
my
I feel
food
like that's the
be
question
good?
you should be answering, because I cook more than you.
Does my food?
No, you answer the question first.
I asked you.
Well, I'll have to say yeah. I mean, it
So-
pretty much pans out in the end, you know.
So
most of the time.
I can cook. We got that recorded. All right.
So you answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. The food is good. I mean, I've been eating it for 15 years almost, right? So now, once you know your roles, you have your expectations, you've created margin for conversation in order to create these expectations or communicate these expectations and then carry them out. Where do we go from here? Because everyone has a role.
Yeah.
You know, in order for those roles to be fulfilled, you need to have some margin to be, you know, to communicate that, and then to identify like, oh, that's what I should be doing, and everyone's on the same page. What does that look like daily? Because
I think it starts with what we call check-ins.
Okay.
You know, checking in with your spouse.
Yeah, I'm glad she talked
take
about that. Yeah.
a few moments, whether it's at the end of the evening, generally speaking, couples sleep in the same bed, you know, so
Yeah,
before you
yeah.
guys
Pillow talk.
lay your head down, you know, to go to bed as you're brushing your teeth, whatever, take a few moments before you go to sleep to have, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out conversation because again, everybody's had a full day probably.
Hold on, give us an example. That's good. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Let's talk. Okay, so it'll be kind of like we tend to do ours like over dinner, and we'll just kind of be like, I'll be like, "How's your day?" Or you'll ask me, "How's your day? What'd you do today? How'd it go?" And we'll debrief each other, so to speak, over that. And then you'll even say, or I'll even say, "Well, what's on the calendar for tomorrow?" You know. You have the luxury of, you know, your Jessica kind of puts your stuff on the calendar work wise,
which is my assistant,
your assistant, and then house wise, we just sit down at that time and communicate. Hey, you got a dentist appointment, you know, Thursday or whatever. Okay,
right.
let's take a few moments and put it on the calendar. So it's not like it's a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's just right there in something we're already doing anyway. People have their phones in their hands all the time anyway. Most phones have a feature to create a calendar, you know.
Right. So we have a family calendar.
We have a family calendar.
And then we have a work calendar. Yeah, so we both have access to all that, so we'll see it. And just in case, this is over communicating, just in case someone did not looking at the calendar in the rhythm of their day, we communicate what's on that in order for us to be able to be on the same page.
On the same page. And I think being on the same page, it really does help cut down on the arguing, the nitpicking, because honestly, a lot of it stems from, I just didn't know you were going to do that.
Right.
You know, I didn't know that was a part of what I was supposed to be doing today. And stuff gets dropped on people at the last minute, and it makes people upset sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So those little check-ins, we do ours pretty much on a daily basis. I suggest you do it on a daily basis, especially if you have kids, because things change so quickly. And then with school and sports and all of that, you know, communicating, hey, you know, you're going to be closer, or when you get off work, you can get there quicker than me, and just kind of getting an understanding before the event is taking place, as opposed to the day of, you know, because that day of stuff can really wreak havoc, you know, in communication, in how we're approaching each other, because by then you're frustrated. Usually people's, you know, tempers are up. And
well, I mean, if it's abrupt, or you're saying something at the last minute, I mean, you know, not being considerate of someone else's schedule. Yeah, I could see where that could be something that would be challenging for someone to make a quick pivot in their life to do a particular thing. And all of this is assuming that people are blending their lives together, because we do know there's marriages that it's like two different lives, two different, you know, things going on that, you know, people may not be aware of everyone's personal, you know, calendar, things like that. We just have chosen, and it works for us, you know, to, you know, just blend our lives, and, you know, and be an open book, and, you know, kind of like, hey, this is what I got going on.
I think that might be the starting point then.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because for me, I feel like it's hard to have a marriage when you're like two ships passing in the night and don't have any type of, because sometimes that is the call, you know. Sometimes someone works during the day and someone works during the night, and they cross paths, you know, give a high five or a kiss, and that's it. But I think that even no matter the logistics of your marriage in terms of timing and all that, at some point there should be some form of communication. Because if there's not, then there's the question, okay, is this even a marriage? Are we roommates? What's going on here? So I think that takes on a whole nother form. But
well, I think that's the battle. You know, we have a biblical Christian marriage. We express, you know, God's love to one another, you know, as much as we can, you know, in our abilities. Sometimes get in the way, you know, and then, you know, we have conflict, obviously, and there's forgiveness and all that good stuff. But we are pursuing to do what the Bible say, in the sense of having the two becoming one. And that is a battle, because you have two people with two different egos, two different mindsets, two different emotions. You know, you got to kind of like study your person, know their quirks, what they like, they don't like, and that's if you care about blending your life with that individual.
Yeah.
That's a challenging thing, two becoming one, and now we're talking about just in scheduling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in transitions and creating margin in order to be able to sit down and discuss that.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we picked that up at. I think it's just reading books or marriage seminars. I'm not for sure, but trial and error.
Yeah. Probably more trial and error than not.
Yeah.
Because it just, once you realize, okay, I can just tell you, I have an appointment tomorrow. Let's put it on a calendar, as opposed to, oh yeah, it just got easier over time.
Yeah.
And then how our lives are, we're just we run the church and the ministry and stuff, and so being organized it's so helpful.
What makes this important? Why is this on your heart? Why is this something you'd like to discuss today for married couples?
Well, like I said, getting back into a rhythm with kids going back to school, and that usually comes with sports and different events and tap and dance and all the things that kids do, and how that can wreak havoc on a marriage. I just feel like whether there's kids involved or not, having the time to communicate the movement in a marriage is important.
Yeah.
It's important so that no one's guessing, no one's in the dark, everybody's on the same page, and also because it was a reason why people get divorced. People get divorced because they just can't get on the same page.
Wow.
When getting on the same page is literally a conversation.
And we're
at first,
it's a conversation. I totally agree. That's where it starts,
That's
right?
where it starts.
Creating margin for a conversation. I think this is just a year-round thing. Obviously, it's September 2024 when we're recording this, but someone can grab this next year and school
in spring or whatever.
Is out, and you're still going to have to deal with reconciling two individuals, and if you have children, it may even be more or a higher number, and getting everyone on the same page.
Yeah, I think it just cuts down a little bit of the tension that you kind of learn to manage in a marriage anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be tension just because you're different than me. You like stuff done differently than me or whatever. There's that tension to be managed. And I think this is a part of it.
Yeah.
Getting on the same page is not a deal breaker in a marriage. It's a tension to be managed.
Yeah.
It's something, it's that give and take that makes the marriage dance beautiful. It's that give and take that says, okay, I noticed that your calendar is full. You've got a lot of appointments. Hey, I'll get the kids this week or whatever, But if a person is not made aware of that, then how can they make adjustments?
Yeah, clarity is kindness. So if it's clear what the schedule looks like, you have an opportunity. That was kind.
Yeah.
That I know what's going on. Then I can express kindness back by saying, let me fill in the blank because it's clear that you don't have the margin for that.
Right.
And, and so that's so good. Hopefully this is helping someone because in marriage there's always going to be, tension. And one of the tense times that we can really communicate about, even in our own life, is just making sure that our lives blend.
Yeah.
How does that start? Well, as we drive home this point, it's creating margin. When you create margin, what do? You want to create a time where you can have check-ins and communicate and get on the same page.
Yeah.
If you can't get on the same page, now the two are not becoming one. And that's what God's design is for a marriage, is for two to become one. And we all come with our idiosyncrasies and our differences, so we already have that working against us.
Yeah.
And so creating margin to communicate so we can all get on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Hopefully you are going to share this, comment. Let us know how you're getting on the same page with your spouse, or how you have missed the mark and you're not getting on the same page. Comment in the comment section, share this, subscribe, rate, review. Remember, Marriage Moment with the Islands. We always think that every moment matters. So we hope that you share this with your friends. God bless. Thank you so much for joining us again. It'll mean the world to us if you would subscribe to this YouTube channel. God bless.
God bless.